Buenas tardes. ¿Qué pasa, mujer? Estamos aquí contentos que ustedes nos están escuchando, nos están viendo. Estamos en Facebook, estamos en Instagram y Roku con Pot TV. Thank you so much for listening and for keeping our show going. We're here every Sunday at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And today we have an amazing guest. His name is Enrique, but we're going to talk about him in a minute. But so we're going to have, I think Marlene is on today. She wasn't here last week, so we missed her. So we're going to bring Marlene on. We're going to bring Nick Day in, and we're going to bring Maddie in. Marlene, we missed you last week.
Hello. Ay, gracias.
Puedes aparecer muy frecuente, ¿ok?
Gracias. Igualmente extrañé cómo están todos ustedes. Un placer, como siempre, compartir este tiempo, esta charla interesantísima. Así como mencionó mi querida Vivi, tenemos un invitado especial. Esperamos que, sabemos que vamos a disfrutar mucho esta conversación, esta tertulia de esta tarde. Así que un beso para
Sí, va a ser súper con mucha información. We're going to have lots of information today. Maybe some topics that you guys haven't heard before or something that is not discussed much in our community. So I'm super excited. So I don't know if Maddie can join us now, Maddie or Nicte. We're ready for you guys. There goes Maddie.
Buenas tardes.
Hello, Maddie.
Hola, buenas tardes. Hello, everybody.
Hi, how you guys doing this week?
Hola, good?
Hola, Mari, Marlena, and Viviana. So great to see you guys.
Oh my gosh. So I hope you guys are having a great day today. I'm like just chilling. My youngest son went to a football game, and my oldest just went to Busch Gardens. So I have some me time, but I really look forward to our show, and I just love the chemistry that we have and the diversity that we have among us. I want to text Maddie a little bit because I know tomorrow is October 31st. So tell me a little bit, because I saw your picture, you were dressed up. So tell me a little bit about El Día de los Muertos. Tell me.
Well, I know I don't know much about El Día de los Muertos. I do know that it is a Mexican tradition, so maybe Nicte knows a little bit more about
it.
And I know it's
Mexican, right, Nicte? Are you Mexican,
yes.
Nicte?
And
we don't know. We don't know if you are.
Yeah. It's celebrated, I think, if I'm not mistaken, November 1st and November 2nd.
Yes.
Like that transition from one night to the other. So, but yeah, I had a blast. It was my first Halloween party as a grown-up. So I had not dressed up in my grown-up life. And then yesterday I decided, I'm like, okay, let's do this. So yes, I had a blast.
Nicte, what do you think?
Oh, I love that. I could talk so much about Dia de Muertos. It is definitely celebrated from the 1st and the 2nd. And it's for those of you guys who are not Mexican, it is very much a rooted Mexican tradition, but it's been spread out through other Latin American countries. And so, especially within the United States too. But it's really a moment where we honor those that are not with us anymore. And we celebrate death. Instead of the sadness, we celebrate death. So you kind of create these altars at home to put some things, like you can put photos of those aren't with you anymore. You can put some items that they loved or food they loved. So it's this really beautiful, rich tradition that celebrates life. And I actually made that poster a few years ago. I can't figure out my pointing in honor of that, to remember que la vida es hermosa, que la vida es pura, solo tenemos una, y toca celebrarla todo el tiempo. So that's kind of my little bit of why I love Dia de Muertos.
Marlene, ¿tú celebras el Día de los Muertos? ¿O en tu país lo celebran?
No, realmente no. Nosotros no. Sí existe, por ejemplo, el Día de San Andrés, que está relacionado. También en este tiempo tenemos una influencia fuerte de Halloween allá, porque yo recuerdo de adolescentes se menciona el Halloween, pero no hay algo tan estructurado como lo hay aquí en los Estados Unidos, obviamente, porque es una tradición más americana, ya la parte de Halloween, no de Día de Muertos. Allá también van a haber fiestas, gente disfrazándose, los negocios sacan provecho de eso, pero no es algo nuestro, tú sabes. Yo vine a aprender eso aquí, lo fuerte que eso es aquí, la intensidad que eso le dan acá, realmente sí. Y yo nunca me he disfrazado. Estaba yo pensando, Dios mío, si me tocaría alguna vez disfrazarme de que yo... Lo primero que me vino a la mente es que de catúbula.
That's funny. Yo creo que yo tampoco me he disfrazado y yo no sé en Colombia, no estoy muy segura si lo celebran, pero yo sé que cualquier oportunidad para tener un día festivo lo van a tomar la oportunidad. Yeah. So I'm not sure about Colombia, but I know. Yeah, like any opportunity to have a 3-day weekend or some type of holiday or partying, like we're partaking in the event. So I'm sure they're doing something over there. So funny. So today we have a guest. So I just want to kind of give you a little bit of data that I found on USA Today. So they say about 16% of the military are Latinos, 16% of the active ones, right? About 8% are officers, and 2% are general or flag officers. And so there's a dispersity in these numbers, right? Because there's a lot of military people, a lot of Latinos in the military, just in general, there's a large increase, but we're not really necessarily getting promoted. So we're going to bring on Enrique Acosta Gonzalez. So I told him to send me a short bio, but he has done so much stuff. Like when I read it, I was like, oh my gosh. But then I read it and I was like, wow, like that's amazing. Like we need more people like you. We need to highlight more people like you because there's people like you already. We're not highlighting you guys, right? So you have a lot of accolades, but just to kind of give you guys a little bit of information, Enrique is the CEO of Triad Leadership Solutions, LLC. He's a speaker, a mentor, a coach, an avid volunteer. He's been awarded awards for being the mentor of the year for 2013, 2014, 2017. So over the past 20 years, Enrique has held numerous executive advisors and senior positions while serving the United States Navy and in the civilian world. So welcome, Enrique.
Muchas gracias. Thank you for having me.
We're excited. Oh, we go like this, like the poets. We're so excited.
Bien fancy.
I love it. We're excited. First of all, we're excited because you're our very first ever guest.
Oh, thank you.
Very first. So we're excited about that. And we're excited about the knowledge that you're going to give us today because you're truly an expert in this field. And we're also excited because yes, this is called Que Pasa Mujer, but we truly bring the community in as well. So it's not just about mujeres. It is really about highlighting and having a conversation of transparency. That's the word that I use all the time. To have transparency, because that's the only way that we can like move forward. And not necessarily get so stuck on the past, but like let's deal with the situations that we have today and how can we make those better. So I already shared the stats with the with our audience in reference to the percentage of active military. So I'm gonna take the floor first because I know Nicte has like 1,000 questions for you. So she might go last today because we might answer some of her questions. So Enrique, so where do you live?
I'm in Orlando, Florida.
How's the weather over there?
It's beautiful. I mean,
Beautiful?
they don't call it the Sunshine State for nothing.
I'm jealous. I'm jealous right now because it's kind of chilly over here today. I'm in Virginia. Marlene and Maddie are in Virginia as well, and then Nicte is in Las Vegas. So we're all from different. I'm Colombian. Marlene and Maddie are Dominican, and Nicte, she's a mixture of a whole bunch of different countries. I'm not sure if you're aware, but I wanted to. Your organization is called Triad Leadership Solutions. Am I saying
Triad.
That? Triad. Yeah. So tell me how you came up with that word, with the name of your company.
Yeah, it's funny. First of all, muchas gracias por tenerme. Es un placer estar con ustedes. Para los que están oyendo o viendo, I'm humbled to be here. So Triad. So a little history. In what Triad means for the military, because that's where the inspiration came from. Yo era parte de un grupo que se llama The Triad. Ese grupo se consiste del el capitán o el commanding officer, the executive officer, el que le sigue a él, y una persona como yo, a senior enlisted advisor or senior enlisted leader. Esos tres combinados forman la Triad. Es como decir Padre, Hijo y el Espíritu Santo, kind of like that, y para mí me sirvió de dos formas, porque primeramente para lo que es militar, esa composición de esas tres personas, y al igual como soy cristiano, pastor, ministro, pues me sirvió de referencia a lo religioso. Pero ese grupo que es parte de the very top of the organization, el commanding officer, pues, es el que manda, ¿verdad? Ese es el que dice, aquí es que, como se dice, this is how we're going to do it, and this is how we're going to go. The executive officer, su lugar es ser el que, bueno, carga la chancleta, ¿verdad? Porque ese es el que da burronazo o da disciplina, ese es el lugar de él. Y entonces está una persona como yo. Yo soy el que tiene el oído al piso a lo que está pasando en la organización. So you are the ear to the people. Whatever they're saying, you relay to the heads. This may not be the best decision for your organization right now. And so what I love about the military is that they do have that complement of three people that have distinct roles, but all serve as the head. It's not three heads, it's one head, right? There's always one person that's going to say, okay, we're going to go with that. But those three help the decision making of the organization. ¿Qué pasa? Como una persona como yo, el resto no se queda atrás. Porque su voz es representada cuando yo me siento a la mesa con los otros. Cuando estaba planeando cómo me voy a nombrar la empresa mía, yo dije, pues esa forma, that organizational structure served me well. I'm going to take that and make it part of my company name. So I named it Triad Leadership Solutions, que viene diciendo, when I help you in your organization, I'm coming with more than just myself. I have a advisory board. Mm-hmm. I have a partnership and an advisory board made up of other senior enlisted leaders. They have that experience. So kind of like a guarantee that when you come and work with me, you're going to have at least 400 years of experience.
I love it. As you were talking, it reminded me a little bit about marriage, right? And except for the three too, but it's just kind of like the philosophy. No, seriously, because I remember there was a counselor that I was talking to, and he was in the military, and he implemented, when he did his counseling sessions for couples, he implemented a lot of the programs that they had in the military. He implemented it to the marriage. And so as you were talking, I really was thinking about that, because like you said, there's just one head, right? Like there's one leader, and then you have other executives, like a board. They still have a voice, a strong voice, a valid voice, a voice that we respect. And so it made me think about that. And I think Nick Day is married to a military she's a military wife. I'm not. I haven't really been involved in the military world, but I just know, just from conversations with people that have been in the military, that structure fits in the world that we live today as well, outside of the military. So you have a podcast, correct? What's the name of your podcast?
Yeah, I actually have two in a live show, but my main one, the one that I do by myself, is called Developing the Leader Within podcast. And then I have a one that I do with a fellow service member. It's called the Leadership Void podcast. And they're all around, leadership topics, cómo ser mejor líder, cómo identificar áreas que puede, basically it's going to derail you in your career. Y cosas así.
Yeah, because you have like leadership and cheerleading, leadership in the military, leadership in the community. You have like different aspects of leadership. So one of the things, I was listening to one of your podcasts, and I loved the fact that you said, wake up as a leader. And then I'll let you talk, Nikki, okay? Because I'm not going to take all the questions today. So tell me what that looks like. How do you, because I know one of your things, your messages is to teach leadership and the discipline. So how do I wake up? How do you teach me to wake up in the mornings and be a leader?
Yeah, that phrase, when I was talking about that, I often reflect on the movie The Matrix, and I don't know if any of you have watched The Matrix, but it seems like we're living in a matrix right now.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of people that are asleep to the actual concerns that really move the world. No sé si es que pues, hay tantos problemas que uno dice, ay, uno más, ay, ya.
Yeah,
Yeah. Si eso pasa por allá, pues que pase por allá, por aquí que no me toque, ¿verdad? Pero la cosa es que nosotros vivimos en un mundo que si una piedra toca la agua, that ripple is going to come to you. You're never going to avoid a ripple effect from actions on this earth. So what happens as leaders is that we get into that that practice of it's not happening here, so I don't care about it. And as a leader, that's probably the most foolish decision you could ever make. Because if you know that a ripple or a rock in a river or a pond is eventually going to get to you, as a leader, you should be saying, okay, that's not here right now. But when that ripple comes, am I preparing my people for that? Because that's where leadership actually is awoken, right? You awake, you wake from a sleep that you should not be in. And a lot of leaders are asleep.
That's awesome. I love that. You're right. Because sometimes people think they're leading, but they're not.
And
so it's our job to kind of maybe identify if that is a true leader or not, and to discern, to say, hey, like I'm going to follow that leadership, or I'm not going to follow that leadership that they believe that they have.
Well,
Madeleine, do you have a question?
If you take the example of, so for those that are listening and are wondering, man, am I leading? Go ask your people. Your people will tell you.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it, to survey them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if there's anybody that says I'm the greatest parent in the world, I'm gonna go ask your kids.
Yeah,
they're gonna tell me what type of parent you are. And believe me, kids are quick to tell.
And also because they're a reflection of the leadership that we offer, right?
Yeah.
So even as parents, that's why I said the parents, the military, the workforce, what type of a leader am I? Because I'm gonna look at my flock. Right? And how are they responding? Yeah. Marlene, do you want to add something to this?
Sí, claro que sí. Muchísimas gracias, Enrique, por estar aquí nuevamente. Honradísimas nos sentimos de que tú estés aquí con nosotros. Un líder donde yo me pongo a pensar, Dios mío, como una persona puede tener tantas facetas. Es CEO, es también veterano con méritos, es coach, tiene un podcast, es un pulpo. El hombre es un pulpo. Qué bien, gracias. Yo tengo una inquietud con respecto al liderazgo cuando uno se va a iniciar en nuevos proyectos. Porque somos líderes, como mencionaste, por ejemplo, en una tecla, como padres. O sea, somos líderes, querramos o no, somos líderes. Porque somos cabezas de algo, somos de nuestros hogares, en nuestras empresas, nos están observando y todo eso. Pero cuando tenemos un proyecto nuevo que queremos lanzar una empresa, en mi caso, por ejemplo, que es mi sueño, va a ser una microempresa inicialmente. Sí. Yo pude ver en el perfil de su compañía que ustedes le dan apoyo a pequeñas, medianas y grandes empresas. ¿Contemplan ustedes también la microempresa dentro de ese conjunto de empresas que ustedes apoyan?
No, me encanta la pregunta porque desde que empezó la pandemia y todo el mundo se puso a huir, como decimos allá en Puerto Rico, lo que pasó fue que las empresas empezaron a apretarle el bolsillo, ¿verdad? So, esos programas que antes fácilmente traían, ¿verdad? O se comunicaban conmigo y dicen, Enrique, necesitamos entrenamiento en esto. Ven, y entonces yo iba a lo que sea, o me comunicaba con ellos, lo que sea. Eso pues paró para muchos, ¿verdad? Y entonces lo que vimos es que mucha de la gente que se estaban yendo de los trabajos porque pues empezaron a realizar que habían tantos líderes malos que ya tenían la oportunidad de decidir por ellos mismos y dijeron, me voy, ya no más, ¿verdad? Entonces esas personas empezaron a decir, pero hey, yo tengo una idea y yo puedo hacer dinero. So, vamos a establecer esta empresa y va a ser, mi nombre LLC y vamos a ver cómo me va esto. Y mucha gente pues empezaron a hacer dinero así. Y si uno ve a los datos, estos pasados 3 años, aumentamos los millonarios. ¿Cómo va a ser?
Sí.
Aumentamos los millonarios y estando en una situación de una pandemia, ¿cómo puede ser?
Crisis,
pues muchos empezaron sus propias empresas y dijeron, pues si voy a votar por alguien, voy a votar por mí. Y se fueron. So, en esa época, pues, el apoyo empezó a ser más con ese grupo de micro que con empresas grandes o hasta las pequeñas, porque hasta las pequeñas, muchas de las pequeñas se fueron aquí, ¿verdad?
Wow, sí.
So uno tiene eso parte del perfil, pero la realidad fue que nosotros, como todo el mundo, pues nos fuimos con los que estaban demandando el apoyo. ¿Quién quería el apoyo? Y fueron los micros.
Perfecto. Qué bueno.
Eso, ya sabes, Marlene, cuando estés lista con tu idea,
Ay, sí.
vas a tener mucha ayuda.
Excelente, maravilloso.
Yeah. So, un momentico, le quiero dar gracias a nuestra audiencia por escucharnos y por vernos. Mucha gente nos está viendo en Facebook porque estamos Facebook Live, pero Lili Matos dijo, me encanta Enrique. Iván Darío también nos mandó saludos. Nos están viendo gente de Estados Unidos, de Colombia, de Texas, de Florida, de Las Vegas, New Jersey. Tenemos una audiencia más grande hoy. Eso le quería decir gracias a nuestra audiencia. But we can keep going. Maddie, did you have a question? Nikta, you're really going last, for real. I see you like jumping through your chair, but I'm like, no, she's going to go last because she's going to go all out. She's going to go off, and then we're not going to be able to stop her. So, Maddie, it's your turn.
So I guess I should chime in now before I stay quiet for the rest of the show. Yeah. So, no, welcome, Enriquez, y muchas gracias por estar aquí con nosotros hoy. In your extensive resume, it says, that you do a lot of mentorship, I know when we mentor others, we try to, we mentor people that, kind of look like us, that we want them to see themselves reflected in us, and we want to empower them and lead them, so naturally you would think you will mentor young men. Is it different mentoring women, and how do you empower women to become leaders?
Yeah, and thankfully, well, good question, but thankfully I've had an opportunity to mentor more women than I have men. And I don't know exactly why that has been that way. When I look at mentorship,
we'll tell you why when you finish.
What?
I said, we'll tell you why when you finish.
Well, there's when you look at mentorship, you cannot look at it from a race or a gender or anything like that. You have to look at it from a humanistic standpoint. This is another human asking for your help, and you should be able to transcend any category that we've made up, by the way, other than male or female, because that's not that's that. But any other category has been made up. It's been imposed. It's been you were raised in it. But is it? Is it a category? You know, and a lot of people like to feel a part of something, and so these categories obviously stick, right? And so, but when you're talking about mentorship, you're talking about mentoring another human, and that's how I see it. One thing that I established early on was, and I didn't do it all this way all my life. Okay, I mentored a lot of people before I mentored my family, and if you look at it, that's definitely backwards.
Yeah.
And so I try to shift that, because if I can't mentor my family, I can't mentor you. And so when in terms of getting those things right fundamentally, then now you can mentor others. And the mentorship cycle of mentoring a woman, you just have to be cognizant that the world does not, in her world, is not viewed the same as you view your world. So I try to put myself in their shoes, and not try to guide them as a woman, but guide them as a fellow human, and that equalizes the ability to mentor them and still have them thrive as a human first, and then see how they can position themselves with being a woman in the current landscape. And I think that's a bigger challenge than just addressing the human part, right?
Do you
So
see a
Ay,
do you
perdona.
see a big difference between how men and women lead?
what I see is the difference in execution. I see more women executing on my advice than I do men. And I don't know exactly if it's because since the man has been trained that they are the decision maker, that they maybe decide wrong and they just go. A woman is more methodical. They're more analytical. They are not going to dive into something just because, right? They're going to take hold on now. Okay, let me see this. Okay, all right. And so the reason why I see more effectiveness in the execution on the side of the woman is because they wait to get everything before they go ahead and go. A man, it's like green light, they're gone. And I'm like, well, yeah, it was a green light. You could go, but that was the wrong street.
Right. It was a one-way street.
You gotta come
What
back,
are you
man.
doing?
You gotta come back. So that's been the difference in that, and yeah.
I love it. All right,
Sí,
Nick, go ahead.
maravilloso, maravilloso. Es bonito escuchar eso, que tomes en cuenta de que el hombre y la mujer piensan de maneras diferentes, porque su cerebro trabaja de manera diferente. El hombre es conquistador por naturaleza y por lo tanto es mucho más enfocado. La mujer tiene tantas cosas juntas al mismo tiempo que trabajar, que lidiar, las maneja, las puede manejar. Y considerar eso, la mujer como líder, como empresaria, que haya un líder hombre de este lado y que comprenda esa parte, es excelente.
Bueno, le voy a dar todo el crédito a mi esposa. She taught me, right? She taught me exactly what I needed to know, through the years that we've been married, of how to be of a help instead of a director. So men try to direct things into place instead of saying, okay, this challenge is here. This is the resources I have. What can I give you so that you can make the best transition into that decision making and let it go, right? Let them go, right? And so if any credit is due, is to my wife.
So somebody has a question, Enrique, about the whole machismo, right?
Uh-huh.
The machismo mentality within our Latin American community.
Yeah.
How do you not think that way today? I don't know if you ever did, or how do you, if you were raised in a household that had machismo upbringings? How are you not that person today?
Well, number one, I was raised in a single parent household and my mom ran the business. Right. So, I mean, y mucha gente pueden decir, pues, ay, bendito. Well, that made me a little smarter in terms of when I was going into the world on how to relate to, a woman in charge. I did not see that as a threat. It was no threat. It was common day. My mom said it. As a matter of fact, aquí en mi casa, cuando vienen ¿qué dijo tu mamá? No es que ella mande, right? But she has a word.
She has a voice.
So my default will be, first, let me get what your mom said. And if you're looking for an approval, I'm going to base my approval on what your mom said.
Right. So that's the partnership.
Because you need to understand that my decision is not a voided decision. It's not a decision that I'm going to say, forget everybody else's feelings. How does everybody else feel about this? And is it in your best interest? Right.
And that's what leadership is, right?
We would hope.
We would hope. Yeah. All right, Nicte. Give it to us, girl.
Enrique, es un placer tenerte aquí con nosotros. It's an honor. I know we've been connected por un tiempo a través del mundo militar, pero es un honor tenerte aquí, más que todo con el tema que estás hablando. Tengo algunas preguntas, pero las condensé a 3. Una de las primeras que pienso que es bien importante porque yo, cuando me casé con mi esposo, I had no idea what military life was. Like, I had to learn through trial and error. And I think there's so much greatness in learning from how some of the things are structured within the military. I know there's flaws, which we won't get into, but I think that there's great things that we can learn from that military structure and your experience, and like things that I've seen my husband, do. And he's taught me a lot for my business, para mi negocio, tener un poquito más de estructura. And earlier, you guys were talking about, there are some really excellent questions about how we can lead as women. And I think that there is this thing that we do as women. We overthink things. We sometimes doubt ourselves, or we think like, oh, what is so-and-so going to think? And we don't take that action. And one of the things that I've always admired from my husband is that he's able to assess the situation and then make a plan. And I know that's very much military driven and inspired. Right. So how can we, as men, women, like anybody, embrace more of that for the people who aren't in the military? How can we kind of implement that type of structure to lead the way?
Yeah, the military structure is in place, and it starts with military. Sometimes military structure will not work in a civilian organization. And so the first key is to know whether it's going to work or not, and what facets of that structure you can implement without upsetting the world perspective on organization. Because, muchas veces yo le digo a la gente que vienen para consejo o sugerencia, lo que sea, me dicen, oh, but I'm having a hard time. Pues seguro que sí. Tú representas 1% que fue sacado del mundo. Básicamente, te sacaron del mundo, te pusieron en este grupo aquí y el resto de 99 se fueron. Y ahora tú te retiras o tú te sales del militar y tú te reingresas ahí y te pones con esa gente, pues ellos no te conocen.
Right.
Por cualquier tiempo que tú estuviste afuera, para ellos tú estabas muerto. If the only people that cared at the time when you was in service was your immediate family, everybody else on the face of this earth kept going. And so now you're coming out of the military and you think that your way is the best way, but you only represent 1% of our world population, of the United States, right? 1% of the United States population is the military. So is it gonna work? Should it work? nosotros estamos gobernados por un set de leyes que dijiste, Nick, ¿verdad? The UCMJ. The UCMJ es un sistema judicial que pues es adoptado por el militar y solo el militar, eso no sirve afuera. You know, es más, en el militar, por hablar malo de otra persona, te pueden meter en la cárcel. ¿Cuánta gente no están hablando mal afuera?
Oh, yeah, we do that all the
¿verdad?
time out here.
Estuviera las cárceles llenas, pero it doesn't work, right? So, ¿cómo decidir si el sistema militar trabaja? You have to look and get advice, you know. Yo lo que le diría a las empresas grandes es, mira, you want to diversify your organization, you want to see if things work, hire a military consultant. Bring them on, let them look at the systems you have, let them hear. Como te dije, mi posición era estar así.
Yeah.
Que cambiaron el sistema de watch. Ok, no le gusta. Para allá voy. Mira, hay que hacer algo porque se van a revoltar aquí ya mismo. You know, and a human is a human, whether you're in the military or not. And so the benefit of the military that we have that person like me. My aim is to have one person like me in all organizations, right? But in any case, does it work for you? Will that work for you? And don't do it if that military structure does not work, because you're gonna lose big, and it's usually in the pocket, right? So is the military structure great? Yes, for the military. Is it great for organizations? Maybe. And will it work? Maybe. You got to try. Right? Your people deserve you to try. And if you can't try, or you say, oh, that military is for military, well, then maybe you don't deserve your people.
Wow. Yeah, that's powerful.
Long-winded, sorry, but
no, that's great. No, está muy buena. I think that is just, it gives us that perspective, because a lot of people, my husband's about to retire, hopefully in the next couple of years. And so I've heard so much that transition is difficult for many people who've been in the military, who that's all they do. Thankfully, I think my husband's a lot more prepared and ready for that transition. But I think that within the civilian sector and the military sector, for the people who are connected, that they haven't had that experience, it's hard for them to support the military member in that transition. And the military member, I think because you guys are so ingrained and you figure it out, you just keep going. You have, that resiliency that sometimes they don't ask for help. So I think that's that, odd, I don't know if it's a balance, but where it's like that separation that I think that is a great conversation to have. So I'm glad you said that.
What was the most challenging thing for you, Enrique, when you had to switch?
This. I was just gonna comment on this. Nikta said that her husband, that it seems like he's ready for that transition. I'm gonna tell you right now, he's not. Now, with all honesty, right? I have been out of the military for almost 7 years, and my wife not so long ago told me, "You're still having a hard time." Yeah. Wow. And that's real.
Yeah.
It's real. I spent 26 years as part of a unit, a family, and then you lose it. So just figure this. I spent 18 years with my family. I leave them and join another family. And then after 26 years, they say, your time is done. And so now I got to join another family that's unidentified. You can't tell me now you're going to join the world. Well, guess what? That's pretty big. It's pretty big. And so, I go back to that 1% versus 99. It's like having a clownfish in the Pacific. Yeah, I'm a fish. Yeah, it's the water. But oh my goodness, the Pacific. and so, the best thing that I could advise in terms of all the things that we talk about military is that get reacquainted with your family, your wife, get reacquainted with your son, your daughter. Go spend more time with your mom. Yeah, I'm gonna stop it there because I might cry. Because unfortunately I lost mine during COVID.
Sorry.
But go do that. Don't go trying to win the world over. You're 1%. You're not gonna win the world over.
Yeah, you need that
I love
downtime.
that.
But
You
you
need that
better
downtime.
win your family over because they've been without you for whatever time that you've been in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think
this is
that's
good. We have a cousin that just well, he retired from the military about a year ago, and he's been grinding a little bit, but he has been like relaxing a lot. And so I'm gonna share the. Well, actually, he's watching, but
Mm.
it's interesting. Like he didn't have a plan, but that's what he ended up doing. So he's been spending more time with his family, with his daughter, um, and with himself as well. He's had some time to himself, and he feels. I think just talking to him, the times that he feels the best is when he's by himself and he's loving it. He loves it. So is
the
that
free.
and yeah, that sense of freedom. Yeah, that's cool. I always said like I could never be a military wife. Like I don't know how Nick Dad does it, and I don't
I
even
don't know how I do it.
because I was like I like my man home,
It takes
but
a
I don't
special
know.
somebody.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a lot on the family.
Yeah.
It's definitely a challenge. You just have to stick through, right, Nick? There, I guess.
Yeah, you don't. It's. I think I've learned that you don't have an option to. You just kind of just have to go with it, which is very hard. You know, at first I battled that because I came from the civilian sector, so I would ask my husband, well, why do you get to do that like that? Why does it work like that? Like, and so I've
Yeah,
learned
and
that's
Ike
just
is
how it
like
works.
very emotional. She's a crier. She cries.
Hey, there
Was
there
a
was
lot.
two people crying
A
up in
lot.
here.
Oh no, when we were first married, I would cry for everything. Like a fly se montaba en el helado, I would cry. Like that's like, but being married to the military, and like you know, there's unspoken things that we can't say, but you know, like the things that you guys go through, it toughens you up. And I think the things that we've been through as a family, it toughens us up. And I think one of the things that, which is a question I've been wanting to ask you, is how can we encourage, or what is your best advice for families who have no idea what it's like to be in the military? Para las familias que no sepan que es tener alguien en la militar, o un esposo, o el esposo de un, like for me. ¿Cómo los puedes mejor apoyar sin decir cosas que sound very unempathetic? So un ejemplo, my husband, one of his last deployments, he was out of the fire with him. So you kind of know type of areas where he's been in. And when he was coming back, that reintegration is very hard. And I wanted to have like that downtime. And I had someone in my family say that I was so worried you weren't messaging me because I thought he had killed you. And which is a very horrible thing to say. But
Goodness.
I know it's I think in part it's lack of trying to put yourself in the position of the other person. So how can we encourage others to not say those things which are very off-putting, but also cómo puede uno ayudar a que la gente entienda de apoyar mejor a las familias sin decir cosas así?
Yeah, you know, that's like asking, can you fix a crooked tree? you can't. You just have to support it so that it start to grow upright, right? So you know, my heart goes out to the military spouse. My heart goes out to them because if I was taken from my family, not taken, right? I left. But if I left my family to go join a family, they made me family, but they don't do that for the military spouse.
The support is
They
different.
they do it for the service member, but they don't do it for the military spouse. You know, and I spent many years where I would be told they did not come with your package. They did not come with that. And so, you know, my heart goes out to the military spouse because not only did they leave their family, they didn't even join a family.
Yeah.
Yes, you're like in limbo.
Yeah, you're in limbo. All you have is your husband or spouse or wife when they're around. And that's it. Right. So look, my heart is heavy for the military spouse. You know, and that's just you know, there's a lot that's being done to change that, but wow. Yeah, it's a hard position. So yeah, I understand it. Now, how do we deal with family that may not understand? Number one, the military spouse cannot allow distance to come in way or time with their immediate family. You have to reach out to your parents. You have to reach out to your siblings. Have them understand that you need that as well. I'm going to call you Monday and Friday. You're going to call me Tuesday. You're going to call me Thursday. And we're going to talk, and we're not going to lose this relationship because of anything. Because guess what? That is the only resource you have. The military may have programs, and they call them resources, but sometimes they're just patches and band-aids. That's just it, right? And so you got to cling on, you know, to your immediate family, but communicate with them the same need. I'm going to reach out to you. You have to reach out to me, and have that support system before you integrate into the military. You cannot lose that. How do you help family members not make uninformed questions? Help them understand your position. Help them. You cannot fix that, but you can help them understand what the military is, because that comment came from looking at military people in the movies. They come back, they got PTSD, están matando a todo el mundo. So, you know, it's not like they want to, it's just what the movies portray us, right? They portray us that way. They went to the war, they came back, están todos locos, right? And that's not, some maybe, but not all, right? Not all. And you know, you just have to educate on your part. But that would be my advice.
So did you ever go through a phase of feeling discriminated because being Latino, because you had an accent, because you look a certain way? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, you know, yo siempre he dicho que la razón que estoy en el trabajo que estoy ahora fue por eso. Cuando yo entré y ingresé en el Navy tempranito, eso fue de inmediato. Fui a la escuela, me mandaron para Hawái. Yo estaba, wow, que Hawái. Fui de Puerto Rico a Florida, a Hawái. No me estuvo muy mal, ¿verdad? No me estuvo muy mal. Hasta que me dieron el primer líder. El primer líder, al frente de todo el mundo, me preguntaba qué era la situación con mi acento, que no me entiende. Y pues yo estaba en una organización que, you know, it's meteorology and oceanography. So you have to brief, you know, el estado del tiempo. Y aquí está pasando esto y va para allá y yo no sé cuántas cosas más y sube y baja, all of that. Y para él, mi acento, pues yo me crié en the Bronx, New York, right? That's where I was raised. And so, you know, I had that Bronx over there with Maddie. I had that Bronx, you know, accent, but it wasn't like you couldn't understand my English, right? So, you know, for whatever reason, he le dio conmigo. Y eso era al frente del mundo, de todo el mundo, no le importaba dónde estábamos, me lo tiraba ahí. Y, and I'm like, man, ¿pero qué le pasa a este tipo? Y era uno de esos líderes que fue por posición, fue puesto en una posición realmente no merecía esa posición. Y si me preguntaba a mí, no merecía estar en el militar, porque él se estaba comiendo a los jóvenes, you
Oh,
know,
wow.
y para mí era eso, mi acento, yo era el único prietito ahí, todo el mundo era blanco, so easy picking, right? And that's just the way it was. um and so I decided from that point on que era bueno y no bueno, porque era una de esas actitudes del Bronx, eso es lo que tú quieres hacer, okay, pues,
Yeah,
vamos
yeah.
encima entonces. Vamos
You were
encima.
gonna go New York style on
No,
them.
pero I was smart enough not to go, head to head. I said, okay, how am I going to overcome this? The guy is saying he don't understand me. He's saying yada, yada, yada. So cogí, en ese entonces, the Webster Dictionary was an actual book. y es así de grande. And I took that red book and I started eating word by word, how to pronounce it, word by word. And then before you knew it, I was the authority on English and how to use words. And he said, and then he left, and then I rose up. And, so it depends on how you address those type of situations. I chose to say, I'm going to eat this book. But a bad part where I chose was nobody else is going to do that to me. I guarantee you that nobody else is ever going to do that to me. So, it was kind of like with a little bad attitude, but it worked for me. I don't suggest the attitude, but figuring out what's at your disposal to overcome a challenge and doing it, and taking care of it.
I think the attitude is cool. I think attitude is needed sometimes. You just use it when needed. I don't think that we should stop doing it.
Well, the issue with attitude is that some people don't know when to shut it off.
Right.
And you got to be careful what box you open. Right. Correct. And I'm Puerto Rican from the Bronx, it's just
that mix.
It's fire, right? And so and I didn't know, because I up until then, nobody ever told me they had a problem with understanding me. I was like, what are you talking about, bro?
You're right.
And so it's just one of those things, right? But
but you found a solution to it, so that's awesome. Marlene, did you have a question?
Sí, ese mundo de los militares y todo eso, como acabo de decir, es todo un mundo. Sobre todo yo lo digo desde el punto de vista, yo como civil, que desconozco muchísimo. Y por ejemplo, aquí en Virginia, cuando vine a vivir aquí, se puede notar cómo se honra al militar aquí. Aquí el militar tiene una serie de descuentos. De hecho, tengo familias jóvenes que son militares que cuando van a pagar sus cuentas se la han pagado porque andan vestidos de militar. Sin embargo, puedo ver la cara opuesta. He visto en ocasiones donde hay inclusive veteranos que son homeless. También que van a hospitales que son especiales para ellos, donde no tienen tal vez la calidad que ellos debieran de merecerse por el servicio que le dieron a esta nación. La pregunta es, ¿qué pasa en esos casos? ¿Qué apoyo se le están dando? No solamente sabemos que pueden venir de traumas, de temas que pasaron cuando estuvieron ejerciendo sus funciones, pero ¿qué pasa también en el apoyo financiero? ¿Por qué vemos esa discrepancia? ¿Qué pasa ahí? ¿No pudieras decir, Enrique?
Yeah, because we see a lot of homelessness, a lot of mental health issues, and we don't know, a lot of them are veterans. And I know they have veteran services available to them, but I don't know how that entire system works, because why are they still in the street?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a sad thing to see. I see it myself. I go back to that 1 versus the 99 scenario. when you have 99% of your population used to not dealing with the veterans or military,
Ujú.
you know, I'm an organization. I do 10%, but you know what? Almost all those are interest based.
Mm.
Almost all of those are interest based. If they are not interest based, they're probably led by a veteran. And when you have organizations led by veterans, then those discounts meet something because they know what they mean. But a lot of the like for instance, there's a lot of people hiring military.
Sí.
Yeah.
Right.
Ustedes saben que a cada persona que ellos ingresen a su organización, a ellos le dan 9,000 pesos de tax break
Mm.
Cada vez.
cada vez.
Oh, wow.
O sea
That
que hay
gives you a
mucha-
different perspective.
Right.
Claro.
Pues
It's a
seguro voy
different
a coger
drive.
a este, voy a coger a este y a esta porque ya van 18,000 que me van a decir no tienes que pagar.
Yeah.
You know, uno tiene que ver un poquito más allá, right? Y no es que todo el mundo sea así. Hay programas que son fundados, que son real, que sí están establecidos para ayudar a los veteranos
Para ellos.
de corazón. Pero hay muchos que de beneficio.
Mm.
Mhm.
Y el
Yeah,
que no
that's
sabe
true.
de leyes, no sabe de qué pasaron, entonces se pierde eso. Y uno dice, pero mira, esta gente son un amor, porque mira cuánta gente militar ingresaron este año.
Sí.
Pues seguro.
Yeah,
Ok.
but it's that
Wow.
money,
Porque hay
honey.
beneficio. So, you know, ¿por qué hay tanto homelessness?
Ujú.
Look, there is a mental struggle when a military person leaves. There's mental struggles while you're in service.
Ujú.
I did not have feet on ground in Afghanistan, Iraq, or Kuwait, or any other conflicts that I participated in. But you know what it is to know that you're sitting in a line eating with Marines one day, and then the very next day they took off last night, and then the next day and a month later they never show back up.
Mm.
That messes with your head. You know, there are a lot of traumas that we suffer, and people say, "Oh, but you wasn't at the war." Yeah, I saw the war.
Right.
I saw the impacts of the war, and that's still, as a human, it affects you, right? So there's a lot of things that people come out with that are not seen, right? How they end up homeless, anybody can end up homeless. Anybody. You fight tooth and nail not to be homeless, but you don't pay your rent for a couple of months, guess what? You're going to be homeless.
Mhm.
Puede
You
pasar
know,
la cualquiera, claro que
yeah,
sí.
Claro.
right. So
Claro que sí.
if they come out of service and then and I just, like I said, I go back to the 1 versus the 99. You're not used to seeing us, but it's like I'm not used to seeing a tree. It's not there. Before long, it doesn't even exist.
Right, right.
And
Yeah.
so, you know, there's a lot of organizations. The VA does a good job in terms of what they can and have established. There's a lot of areas that they don't do a good job, right?
Mhm.
You know,
Sí.
Yeah.
you just have to take each one as it comes
As it
and
comes.
give them your best.
Yeah. Maddie, did you have a
Enrique,
question? Oh, sorry, Maddie. No? Okay, go Nite.
I don't have a question. I just think that I wanted to thank you, Enrique, for saying that. And I think that it's really powerful what you've shared from the things that you've seen, experienced, and also helping people who aren't in the military understand. I think that there's that very key point in empathy. I'm very much about empathy, leadership, and seeing when others are struggling and kind of not thinking like, oh, no es mi problema. I don't have to help them out. Or, so I think that you helped us all see a different perspective. And I'm sure all the ladies with the great questions have seen a different perspective. And how can we, help our military community. So it doesn't have to be that 1% where we try at least a little bit more to be more supportive. And I think that will bring us together on a human level. So I just wanted to say thank you for really kind of emphasizing that and sharing that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
If people chose to, sorry, if I told you, hey, you got to learn 99% of this material, you're gonna be like, oh my goodness. But
No.
if I told you, oh, all you have to do is learn 1%, you're like, pues eso no es nada.
Right.
So, when does America take that perspective of, shoot, it's only 1%? Are
Mm-hmm.
you telling me we cannot care for 1%?
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't care for 1%, I hate to see the statistics about what you care for. I hate
Yeah.
to see it. So
Enrique, what's the name of your podcast? The podcast that you have in your live
yeah,
stream?
Developing the Leader Within podcast, on all platforms that you can look podcasts in or hear, listen to, and also on YouTube. You can actually on YouTube, you can do at DTLW podcast and you'll find it.
Okay. Yeah, but you guys, we could definitely Google, his name, Triad Leadership Solutions, um, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of those. You can look up his name. But we're so excited. I think we're gonna have to like bring you back again because there's some stuff that
Definitivamente.
we didn't touch on. We didn't touch a lot on like business owners, entrepreneurs. I really like your philosophy. Like one of the things that I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but where you have a down to earth approach when it comes to teaching leadership and discipline. And I'm in the academic realm. So I know one of your topics was being leaders as parents. So there's so many topics that we really didn't touch on today. So you'll definitely come back again. We had a great time. Our time is up, but I don't know, Nick, that you had one more question or
Oh,
comment.
you ladies answered. No, this has been, Marlene, I love the question. I was saying it in our chat. Me encantó la pregunta que hiciste, because I think that that's what opens up the conversation. So yeah, I agree with Viviana. There's like so many things that you bring to light, especially with leadership and your perspective too, that just makes us want to grow and learn more through a more confident and leadership-like approach. So I am definitely interested to hear more of that. So thank you.
Yeah, Marlene.
Bueno, yo me quedé con preguntas, definitivamente me quedé con preguntas que tienen precisamente que ver con liderazgo, un líder, cuál sería tal vez algo donde fallaría, donde entonces en el otro extremo, qué sería lo que a un líder no puede faltarle, ay, tanta cosa.
Yeah. So we're definitely gonna have you back again. And I think if you guys don't remember anything at all, I would say what stuck to me today was wake up as a leader. So that's gonna be my quote to myself every morning this week, and I'm gonna share that with other people. I believe in not being a hoarder of good content, good information, and wisdom, and that really stuck with me. And I just want to thank you because I don't take it light that you took your time to be with us today. And we really enjoyed you. And you're definitely going to be back because there's a couple of topics that I would love for you to touch on. And because we have a lot of female over here. So it's nice to have male. Like our producer is male, but he doesn't really interact with us live. He's just on the side and he always of course,
Escondida.
unchecked, yeah. But all this female stuff, we enjoyed you today, definitely. As you guys can kind of see. So again, we're here every Sunday at 4:00 Eastern Standard Time. Enrique's website is at the bottom of the screen. But again, you guys can always contact us, and then just Google him. You can Google him and you can find him. Any closing remarks for you, Enrique?
Yeah, I was just Marlene dice, preguntó de what's the one indispensable thing a leader must have? Truth. If as a leader, you cannot have truth and truth have you, you're going to fail.
Yeah, facts. That is very true. So, Enrique, every time we have our show, we always end with Maddie. She's a poet. She actually has a book as well. She'll talk about the book. But we always close, yes, we always close the show with one of her poems. And she usually gives me the chills. I would say so. So out of the 5 shows we've had, I've had the chills 4 times. So I hope that you feel the chills when you listen to her.
No
poem.
pressure.
Thanks, Viviana.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Well, before I go into my poem, I just want to say thank you, Enrique, for your rawness. You know, for it was very raw, very genuine, and making us, you know, feel like, you know, you care and you understand. And I think that's very important. Sometimes it's not what you say, but it's how you say things. And thank you for that. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this poem that I am going to do for you today is called Checking Boxes. I think in all of the shows that we've done, we talked about our mixed heritage. And in my case, you know, my mom was very white. My dad, very dark skin, and I'm somewhere in between. So it wasn't until I came to the United States that I was asked, so what are you? Are you black or white? And of course, I was dumbfounded because I'm like, what? So that's kind of what this poem is.
You're like, I'm Dominican. What are you talking about?
Exactly. So checking boxes. Look at me in the eyes and tell me you didn't already make up your mind. That your vision is not as biased as the choices you expect me to mark on this form. Hispanic and black, as if it was as easy as a check mark, as if I could fold my history to make it fit into your box, how I wish I could add my own and give myself the right to be me. Because at times, my light skin reminds me that I'm white, but not quite. Then there's this hair, this unruly hair that screams, and I hear La Negra I carry within, yet the Amara in me will never be because I'm not black enough. I inhale, digging deep, trying to explain how not fitting in either box feels, because inside the wrong box, it could be hard to breathe. The box that I was always taught to want to pick will be perfect if I look more like mommy and less like me. In the other, I can barely squeeze myself in. It is filled with negativity and shame, the belief that black will never be beautiful by itself. And in the back, I see Papi's face. My soul has grown heavy with resentment from hundreds of years ago, and I can't seem to come up with the right words to wash up the oppression that has become part of my bones. So my people have learned that it is easier to celebrate a geographic location rather than to try to trace back this convoluted mutation of chromosomes. So when asked what we are, race becomes a place on the map, and we say, I'm not black. I am Dominican. And even though there's no box of such kind, it is easier to celebrate music, culture, the way we behave, things that cannot be seen, only felt. But we're learning that is only a temporary band-aid to the wound that's still bleeding inside, the result of colonization, slavery, Taino genocide, and identity that has been picked apart, reduced to its bare minimum until its people no longer remember who they are, like a disease that's been passed down through generations, racial gentrification that somehow has been made superior, as if being black was grounds for modification, hate infecting pride, this belief of mejorar la raza that is making us sick on the inside. Just ask Sammy Sosa. He's currently living the lie, this lie that success is only valid if it comes in a shade of white, that your intellect has less to do with what you feed your brain and more with what your skin looks like, as if the courage that drives my people could have a color assigned. In a color wheel, blue and yellow are 2 of the colors you cannot create. But if combined, they make a beautiful green shade. Now imagine being green, celebrating your yellows, and being forced to hide your blues when both colors are essential when it comes to making the right you. I'm sorry, I meant hue. So now look at me in the eyes and tell me you didn't already make up your mind. That your vision is not as biased as the choices you expect me to mark on this form. Agree with me that human should be the only choice. Because after all, if our skin could be taken off, you'll be surprised to see that there's really not much difference when it comes to being you or being me. Thank you.
Man, I'm about to say I'm Dominican.
Maddie,
Hermoso,
wow.
Maddie,
Oh,
precioso.
gosh, wow.
I got the chills.
Siempre.
Beautiful.
Oh my God, I love it. Yeah. So show us your book, Maddie.
Thank you. So this book is called A Vision of She. You can find me on social media platform. Reach out to me, Maddie Garcia, Maddie G98 on Instagram, and Maddie Garcia on Facebook. It is $15, and I think it's like 18 or 20 on Amazon. So either way, go support your local artist. It is a collection of poems about being a woman. And like I said all the time, it's all the poems that I wish I would have heard when I was growing up to inspire and empower me as a young woman. So,
yes,
thank you.
I love it.
Very good.
I love it. Again, Enrique Acosta Gonzalez, we had a blast with you today. It was amazing. And we're definitely going to bring you back on. So again, we went a little bit over today, but it's okay. We got approval from our producer, Mark. So again, I hope you guys have an awesome week. And again, I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning to be a leader, to be a better leader, because that really kind of stuck with me today. And again, we're here every Sunday at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Pot TV through Roku. We also go live on YouTube, Facebook, and we're on Instagram and LinkedIn as well. So again, ladies, I thank you so much. It was amazing to see you guys. Enrique, we'll see you again. Most definitely. We had a great time.
Muchas gracias.
Yes, I love it. And thank you to our audience too. Our viewers.
Yes.
And
attacks against Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders are on the rise.
My simple solution to the problem was remove people from the scene and help them feel safer. In terms of the hate crimes, I think there is so much more work to be done. We really need to come together and tackle this issue as a community.
This place that I call home. I want to explain it to her. Like,